Have you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people? This question has puzzled humanity for centuries, and there's a story, thousands of years old, that tackles it head-on. Let's talk about Job. Imagine a man who had it all. Job was incredibly wealthy, with vast herds of livestock, a huge estate, and a large, loving family. The Bible describes him as the greatest man among all the people of the East. But more importantly, Job was a good man. He was blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. He was generous, righteous, and lived a life that anyone would admire. He had a beautiful wife, 7 sons, and 3 daughters. Life was perfect. Then, in a single day, his world shattered. A series of messengers brought devastating news. Marauders stole his oxen and donkeys, and his servants were killed. Then, fire from the sky burned up his sheep and more servants. Another group of raiders carried off his camels and killed even more of his staff. And then, the most heart-wrenching blow of all. A mighty wind struck the house where his children were feasting, and all 10 of them were gone. In an instant, Job went from being the wealthiest man to having nothing. He lost his fortune, his livelihood, and his beloved children. But what was his reaction? In his grief, Job tore his robe and shaved his head, but then he fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Even in unimaginable pain, his faith did not waver. But his trials weren't over. Next, Job was struck with a terrible physical affliction. Painful sores covered his entire body, from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. He was left sitting in ashes, scraping his sores with a piece of broken pottery. His own wife, seeing his suffering, told him to just curse God and die. But Job rebuked her, asking, "Shall we accept good from God, and not trouble?" Then 3 of Job's friends came to comfort him. When they saw him, they could barely recognize him. They sat with him in silence for 7 days and 7 nights, because they saw how great his suffering was. When they finally spoke, they tried to offer explanations. They suggested that Job must have sinned, that he was being punished for some secret wrongdoing. This was the common belief at the time, that suffering was always a direct result of sin. But Job knew he was innocent. This is where the story deepens. Job begins a long, passionate debate with his friends and with God. He doesn't curse God, but he does question him. He cries out in anguish, demanding to know why this is happening to him. He wrestles with the silence of heaven, feeling abandoned and confused. He defends his integrity, refusing to accept the easy answer that he deserved his suffering. He wants an audience with God himself to plead his case. After the long debates with his friends, and a younger man named Elihu who also weighs in, God finally answers Job. But God doesn't give Job the simple explanation he was looking for. Instead of a list of reasons, God gives Job a tour of the universe. He speaks from a whirlwind, asking Job a series of questions. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Have you ever given orders to the morning or shown the dawn its place? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Through these powerful questions about the wonders of creation. From the stars in the sky to the wild animals in the desert, God reveals his immense wisdom and power. The point wasn't to belittle Job, but to show him that human understanding is limited. There are vast, complex workings in the universe that are beyond our comprehension. God's perspective is infinitely greater than ours. Humbled, Job finally understands. He replies, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know." He repents not for a sin he committed, but for his pride in demanding an answer that was beyond him. And what happened in the end? God restored Job's fortunes, giving him twice as much as he had before. He was blessed with another 7 sons and 3 daughters, who were said to be the most beautiful in all the land. Job lived a long and full life, seeing his children and their children for 4 generations. The story of Job doesn't give us a simple answer to the problem of suffering. Instead, it offers something more profound. It teaches us that faith is not a transaction where we are good and God rewards us. It teaches us to trust in God's wisdom even when we can't see the full picture. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments of confusion and pain, We can bring our honest questions to God. It's a story of incredible enduring, profound mystery, and ultimately, unwavering faith. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into timeless stories. See you next time.